Calgary and Brooks, Alberta have been given the green light to start easing restrictions. The two cities had experienced the highest levels of COVID-19 infections in the province. Today, Alberta's premier confirmed the number of cases is declining enough to allow both communities to open more businesses.
Hairstyling and barbershops will be permitted to reopen in Calgary and Brooks. Cafes, restaurants, and pubs and bars can also reopen for table service at 50% capacity this upcoming Monday. And on June 1st, day camps, including summer school, will be permitted with limits on occupancy in those communities.
The outbreak in Brooks was one of the largest in the country, more than 1,000 cases and 7 deaths. Most infections were connected to a meat processing plant. The premier says the outbreak is largely contained and 99% of infected employees have recovered. Yourex-West looks at the massive community response that helped the city get to this point.
Remilyn B.I. is hoping to go back to work at the JBS meat packing plant in Brooks next week. She's been off for a month, taking leave at first because her son's daycare was closed. She had no idea she had also contracted COVID-19.
Actually, I don't have any idea when or where I got positive.
The virus began spreading through the small Alberta city in mid-April. There were outbreaks in multiple locations, including the meat packing plant. Dozens of new cases were being reported each day.
Because there's no cure, there's no treatment, there's no vaccine clearly. So testing is really the only way to understand what's happening in your community with it. And so we pressed really hard for that first asymptomatic test site.
Beginning on April 27th, the testing event was held for anyone in Brooks, whether they had symptoms or not. 3,653 people were tested over 3 days. 10% of them were positive. BI was one of them.
So I went there in the 3 days. After that, they called me a day after that I got positive. No symptoms at all.
That kind of strikes you that 10% of your asymptomatic population is testing positive. I think it allowed everybody to understand, oh wait, there's a bigger problem here.
Part of that problem, Brooks is a community of many hardworking people from all over the world. Many have multiple jobs, living in crowded, multi-generational homes.
We actually decided to call and outreach to everyone in our database. That's about 1,200 to 1,300 clients.
Mohammed Idris is a part of the community's COVID-19 Emergency Operations Center. He says cultural support played a vital role in curbing further spread. Educational material was translated into 13 languages, and people who were unable to isolate at home were put up in hotel rooms. By the first week of May, the curve started to flatten and people began to recover. A little more than 2 weeks after the outbreak's peak, less than 100 active cases remained. On May 12th, a second 3-day testing event was held. This time, 1,663 residents came out for testing, and less than 1% of them were positive.
I do think this is a success story. I always say that everybody owns public health. And so success on behalf of everybody.
BI's son was also tested for COVID-19. Fortunately, he was negative. BI's now considered recovered. The little family is looking forward to resuming some kind of normal after a chaotic few weeks. This mom, at least, won't soon forget. Yourex-West, Global News, Brooks, Alberta.
The new series that goes inside the COVID-19 pandemic, from the front lines to the everyday heroes helping us cope with the unprecedented change. Coronavirus, the new reality. A Global News special, Sundays at 7 on Global.